Hey everyone, we know how hard it can be to keep up with the latest news in Israel. So if you haven't had the time to stay on top of what's what in the Holy Land, we're here for you. I'm Ladar Gavelazi, and this is ILTV's Weekly Review.
There were 2 attempted terror attacks this morning and overnight in Samaria. In one, 3 terrorist gunmen were shot and killed, and in the other, gunmen escaped the scene after firing at a civilian bus. ILTV's Steve Leibovich reports.
Early this morning outside Nablus in Samaria, IDF soldiers shot and killed 3 terrorist gunmen who opened fire on the troops from their car. The army says that soldiers were on routine patrol in the Shomronim neighborhood when they suddenly came under fire. The soldiers from the 603 battalion responded quickly, pursued the gunmen, and eliminated them. The terrorists were armed with M16 automatic weapons. Last night, an Israeli civilian bus came under a hail of bullets fired in the Palestinian village of Hawara. There were no injuries, but the bus was damaged. At least 6 bullets hit the bus. IDF forces launched a search for the gunman. In recent months, Hawara has been the scene of terrorist shootings at Israeli drivers passing through the village to reach nearby Jewish communities. Palestinian property in the town has been attacked by Jewish vigilantes. In a separate development, IDF forces conducted a counter-terror operation near Tulkarem in Samaria. The operation included use of heavy engineering equipment used to uncover explosives and other weapons stored underground. Terrorists activated several explosives. No soldiers were injured. The forces also interrogated wanted terrorists and searched for explosive labs.
Over the weekend, there were a series of Palestinian terror attacks in Jerusalem and Judea and Samaria. ILTV's Steve Leibovich has more.
In Jerusalem, the Shin Bet announced the arrest of 3 terrorists who carried out a stabbing attack in the Gilo neighborhood, seriously wounding an Israeli civilian. The victim, 25-year-old Or Ser, was taken to hospital with a knife embedded in his back, and he remains in serious condition at Shaarei Tzedek Hospital. The victim is a university student who was in Gilo visiting his grandfather. The suspects were aged 17 to 19 and are from Bethlehem. On Friday near Nablus, a Palestinian was shot dead after attempting to ram his car into a group of soldiers. The army says that the car speeded up, trying to hit the soldiers on patrol in the village of Sebastia. They opened fire, killing the terrorist and wounding his passenger, who was held for questioning. Earlier Friday, a Palestinian terrorist was killed during clashes with Israeli forces in the village of Safa. 3 Israeli troops were lightly injured in separate clashes in the southern Judean town of...
Experience the power of truth with ILTV News. If you're looking for quality content and captivating visuals, join our news community and become an integral part of our team as we embark on a mission to unveil the real Israel, dismantling the web of lies and misinformation that surround reporting on Israel. By subscribing to ILTV News, you will not only have access to the latest updates, but you will also amplify our message, creating a ripple effect that carries the truth far and wide. Subscribe today and help reshape the narrative. Available on the web, Android, and Apple.
As the Knesset session nears its end, attention turns to the aftermath and the potential for a calm. And to shed light on the situation and the prospects for national unity, we turn to prominent attorney and journalist Pedro Yamini. Pedro, we're now a day after the post-reasonableness bill passed, and you know, the sun shines just like yesterday. Has any fundamental change really happened to Israel?
Yeah, we have to bear in mind that the legislation of yesterday is only one stage in the long process that actually some Knesset members promise to continue. I mean, the legislation of yesterday about the reasonable bill is not going to destroy the Israeli democracy. Let's not exaggerate. What people are afraid of is there's so many declarations that they are going to continue. And mainly, the very fact that there is a controversy in the Likud among the right-wingers, and eventually between Itamar Ben-Gvir from the extreme right and Yoav Gallant, the defense minister, who is a kind of a moderate right, Netanyahu eventually decided to side with Ben-Gvir. And this is what is frightening many people in Israel. It's not only the story of this particular legislation.
We really saw Gallant yesterday on live TV telling Bibi, just give me something. I really saw that live. But Netanyahu calling for talks, and we're heading toward the end of the Knesset session. Might things calm down now for a little while at least, or how do you see it going?
Unfortunately, I cannot tell you that I'm hopeful that something is going to change. Why? Because people already are experienced with Benjamin Netanyahu, and they do not trust him. And I mean, he did it to himself. I mean, with so many promises that he actually, he himself violated. And I mean, this is his way. So nobody is taking him seriously when yesterday he appealed to people and said, okay, let's talk and let's speak, and we have to get a compromise. Come on. We could achieve a compromise. It was on the table. It was I mean, something that professors who are considered to be conservative, who are not big supporters of the Supreme Court, I mean, they put it on the table. And it was all rejected by the Constitution Commission of the Knesset. He knew it. He was part of it. So that's why it's not easy to accept what he said yesterday, calling for unity and that kind of stuff.
Pedro, much has been said for and also against reservists now refusing to serve in protest. Of course, I mean, there is pushback. Where does it stand? Are a large number of reservists ending their service? Is the threat still on? What's going on?
It's going on. Unfortunately, it's going on, and I have to admit, generally speaking, I'm supporting the protest. I'm not supporting this kind of refusal. I'm not supporting because actually it makes damage to the protest. Why? Because many right-wingers, I would even say that half of the voters of the Likud support in one way or another the not continuing the legislation. They support, in a way, even the protest. And those who refuse to serve in the army, actually, what they do is they limit the support in the protest. So it is counterproductive, actually, yes, but some of them are going to implement what they said and to carry out this refusal, which is something that everybody is sorry about.
Really, it's a complex matter because if really the government surrenders, let's say, to the reservists saying we won't serve, I mean, how will it make the government look? I mean, in a way, you see what I mean?
Yeah, I see exactly what you mean. So that's exactly why the government.
I mean, right now,
and the
excuse
Prime
me for
Minister,
interrupting. Right now, it's that. Tomorrow, it's something else. I mean, you know, it can be anything.
Yeah, it can be anything. It can be anything, and that's exactly why we could prevent this kind of situation. When I'm saying we, I'm speaking about the government. I'm speaking about Benjamin Netanyahu. You knew exactly what you are facing. We all knew what we are facing. We are facing a threat that I do not like, a threat of refusal, and you knew it. So why not to get a compromise in order to straight things between coalition and opposition? And you know that when we are speaking about constitutional change, we need a much broader consensus comparing to any kind of other law. That, I mean, if you have 61 Knesset members, it's good enough, but not when we are speaking about a constitutional change. Doesn't he know it? Yeah, he should know it, and I guess he knows it. And unfortunately, he went all the way against the compromise.
Thank you so much, Pedro, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.